you're preaching, family tales and where you're going, truths you need without the sugar coating.
What's going on, everybody? Here we are, another week, more emails. Got some special for you guys this week. Got an email, and in the email I was sent a video clip. In this video clip, it is, I'm going to destroy her name, but it's from the BET Awards. Doechii, or whatever her name is. Pretty sure it's Doechii. I'm probably wrong, so no hate on that one. But during her acceptance speech, she had some things to say about the current status of things that are going on, especially in California and some things across the country, and things, all the stuff like that. But instead of me going there and talking about that, let me play the clip. You guys can watch it yourself and listen to it yourself, and then you can tell me your thoughts. So there we go. So, the thing is, let me read the email to you. Now, let me go back to the email. Let me pull the email up. Thought I'd go to that and then go there. It says, "Hey, Devin, I've attached a clip from BET Awards. It's Doechii's movement getting celebrated, bold, in a bold outfit, big energy. And look, I'm all for expression and art. But at what point does it start feeling like a performance for clicks rather than a celebration of black excellence? I'm trying to see it from all angles, but something about it rubs me wrong. Can we talk about where the line is between being empowered and being exploited?" Jermaine in Atlanta. All right, here's the thing. I took some notes. I have things that are bothering me. So there's okay. Let's go to your point. Probably okay. So let's address one. Okay, let me back up. Here's my thoughts. Then I'll address your point of what you're trying to get to. So one, she says, let's address what's happening outside the building. There's ruthless attacks, creating fear and chaos in the name of law and order. Here's the thing. There's ruthless attacks that are happening. I'm a firm believer in obeying the law, right? And if I speed, I get a ticket. It's my fault. I didn't obey the law. I suffer the consequences. Everything has consequences. Everything is, there's supposed to be law and order. Where there's things that people do. Then she goes in, and I'll go back to that in a second. Then she says, Trump is using the military to stop the protest. Okay, let's address that. It's not a protest. When you're destroying property, when you're stealing, when you're throwing rocks at military, throwing rocks at ICE members, you're throwing rocks or putting police cars on fire and all that type of stuff. That's the point when you go from a peaceful protest, and I don't care who's out there and who's saying what. Reality is this: protest means I can walk around, I can hold up a sign, I can talk about the things I disagree with, I don't like it. That is fine. But once it turns to actions of destruction, that becomes violence. So this is not a protest. This is a riot. This is people acting out because they can. And every one of them, and I'm going to say it, should be locked up in jail. If you're in this country and you didn't come the right way, and when I mean the right way, means I have a friend of mine who came here illegally. Then he went back. He didn't get deported. This has been years ago. He went back. He's like, I want to be a U.S. citizen, so I need to do it the right way. So then he went to the border. He's filled out the paperwork. He did all those other things. He got a tentative visa to be here for work and all this other stuff. And he had some people to sponsor him. He came across, and then he eventually became a U.S. citizen. That's the right way. If you go to any other country, if I was to cross the border illegally into China, I can either go to jail or they shoot me. If I go to Iran, I die. Every country has laws for coming into it illegally. I have no problem with people being here. You want to be here? Come here and do it the right way. And I think that's what everybody's saying. Even Democrats, you can look me up and people can fact check me on this all day long. Democrats, from Hillary Clinton to Barack Obama to Bill Clinton to you go to even to Republican George W. Bush, all of them. They've all said the same thing. There is law and there is order, and if you want to come to this country, do it the right way. And if you don't, then you're going to be sent back out. Bottom line, they've all said it. Now, people who are protesting and destroying these things, they're just creating chaos for the sake of doing chaos. It's stupid. You shouldn't be doing it. You know, when she said people are being torn from their families. Did you know you can go back to your country with your family? Did you know if you self-deport yourself, there's actually a higher chance of you being able to come back to this country legally? Because you did it yourself. You're like, hey, I'm going to go out, then I'm going to get the information, do it myself. There is a process for all of this. You know, she says she wants to speak for all oppressed people, black people. She went down the list of all these people. If you're in this country, there's laws against oppressing you. Now, if she's talking about the oppression of what she so calls a peaceful protest by burning buildings down, and burning cars and destroying goods and things like that, that's not peaceful. That's not oppression. If you, by breaking the law, you feel you're being oppressed because you're breaking the law, you're taking something that doesn't belong to you, you have a problem. Now, this goes back to my issue and also what we're Jermaine in Atlanta. He says between being empowered, can we talk about where the fine line between being empowered and being exploited is? When you're in the public eye, shut your mouth. If your job is to, and I say that because I'm in the public eye, so I'm not going to shut my mouth. My job is to talk about these things. This is what I do. I will continue to talk. Now, people can disagree with me, and that's fine. It doesn't bother me that people disagree with me. It just means that we're human, and then let's talk about why we disagree. Now, if you're on stage for accepting an award for something amazing, I don't know what her award was, whatever it was, congratulations, you got an award, that's awesome. But it was probably because you're an artist of some sort and you're being recognized. Accept the award, thank your God, thank your family, thank your producers. Don't use that forum for a political speech on things that you are uneducated about. Because that's what it seems like the biggest issue is in our country, is we have an education issue, and I'm going to blame the government for that because we've been so honed into the government's going to teach us the things that we need to know, but they don't, because the government doesn't do anything that will benefit us to its fullest extent. They only give us a little bit, and then we have to do the rest. We shouldn't depend upon the government to do anything at all, ever, except to protect our country from foreign invaders, from war and things like that. That's all the same thing. If Russia wanted to attack our country, that's what our government's there for. When you when you elect an official, you need an elected official that will represent you and your countrymen or your statesmen or whatever in the way that is beneficial for safety and security. But everything else is on you. If you want to steal something, you can go to jail. If you want to buy something, you have the money. If you want to trade for something, trade for it. But the problem is the education level. And it's to the point of I was just scrolling through different feeds on Instagram and all that, and I came across the Dan Crenshaw thing. And I'm not a huge fan of Dan Crenshaw. I used to be. But there's things that he says that are just not quite right sometimes. He gets some things right too. And in his feed, someone was talking about, Dan Crenshaw mentioned someone talked about how California, no, it was Katy Perry talking about how California belonged to such and such people. Yeah, you're right. It did at one time. But history lesson here, people, the United States fought a war, and then we end up purchasing the land from Mexico. Now, if I purchase something, that means I own it. So if our country purchased something from another country, that means we, the people, and our country own that land. It is no longer belongs to Mexico. It belongs to the United States of America. So history lesson, if you don't believe me, just Google it. It's out there. You can read it and it's there. So again, educate yourself, people. So, Jermaine, I'm hoping I'm answering your question. I think that where the exploitation part is probably someone got in her ear and said, you need to talk about this and we'll give you money. Because we know, even through like the Twitter files, that the federal government and certain parties were giving money to people to say certain things. Now, whether she did or not, I can't prove that. I don't really care. But I think she should have just gone up and thanked everybody and sat down because she got an award. Don't use it for any political means like she did. Because she's not oppressed. If anything, she's doing way better than everybody else. In our country, in reality, people think about that's a racial thing. Race is gone. No one cares about race except politicians. Politicians thrive off of race, and people who are ignorant thrive off of race. What it comes down to at this point is poor people and rich people. And I can tell you what, I have been in both worlds, and I can tell you having money is way better than not having money. So that being said, figure out a way for everyone to get out of that area of being poor. Because it seems like as you're in the poor area, you start blaming governments for problems. I worked with a guy once. He was, I hate the police. I'm like, well, really? Why do you hate the police? He goes, well, they're just a bunch of idiots. I'm like, okay, why? Why do you say that? You have an opinion, and that's based off of something. So what's your opinion? And he's like, well, I got pulled over one day. I'm like, what were you doing wrong? Well, he said I was speeding, but I know I wasn't speeding. I said, did you fight it? Well, no, there's no point. I said, okay, if you didn't fight it, did you have proof that you weren't speeding? He goes, no. He goes, and then he got me on a drug charge. Okay, where did you have drugs in the car? He goes, well, yeah, but that's beside the point. I said, okay, so you were speeding. You had drugs in the car, and you got arrested. Well, yeah, and then they impound my car. And so you hate the police because, one, you were speeding, two, you had illegal drugs in your car, and you hate the police because you broke the law. Well, you just don't understand. You're just on the side of the cops. No, I'm on the side of doing what's right. And if I get caught with doing something wrong, we have to be able to be willing to take in and say, I did something wrong. You got to be humble a little bit, and I'm going to fix this. Now, if you did nothing wrong, then you fight it. And you prove that you did it, that you didn't do it, should I say. The bottom line is do the right thing no matter what, even if it's going to hurt you. And I think that's the problem that we're seeing out in all these protests and these riots is people are not doing the right thing. They've never picked up one history book in their life, and they don't understand how things are. I mean, if Mexico wants California back, take it. Here's the deal. We'll sell it back to you. I guarantee if they offered the right amount of money, and it's probably going to be trillions, then we'll give it back to them. All those people can be under the rule of the cartels, because we know that for the most part that the Mexican government is not ran by Mexico and Mexican citizens. It's ran by the people who have the money. Kind of like our country in many cases too. A lot of people in our country can be bought and paid, and that's what they do. So it's horrible. Anyway, I got other emails to go through. So let's start on this next one. Hey Devin, I've been watching the news, listening to economy reports, and honestly, just looking around, and I can't shake a feeling that we're all heading for some kind of fall. The prices keep going up. Nobody I know can afford a house anymore, and everything feels shaky. My question is, should we be preparing for something bigger, like a collapse or major shift? Or am I just reading into the anxiety of the times? I don't want to be a conspiracy person, but I also don't want to be caught sleeping. What are your thoughts? Mason from Tulsa, Oklahoma. All right, Mason, here's the deal. When it comes to that's easy. Yes, you should always be prepared for something. You need to be preparing for the worst, no matter what. And I'm not saying go out and buy a whole bunch of everything that you think you possibly have. I'm saying buy a little bit more and extra. Because I read an article the other day from, I think it was if I remember right, the president of J.P. Morgan Chase. He says our country is, and not just our country, but our world economic is heading towards a great drop because of what's going on. Meaning our economies are pretty shaky. And then if you do your research yourself, you actually realize that financially in our country, we are worse off now than we ever were during the Great Depression. Prove me wrong on that one, because it's true. There's more people on welfare now than there was back then. There's more people in the food lines, but they don't call them food lines anymore. We call that the food stamps and SNAP program. There's more people on that ever. I know Barack Obama bragged about how it is a success because more people are on it than ever. That's not a success. It should be the opposite way. But success should be less people are on it. That means they're prosperous. People are getting by. People are being able to pay their bills and things like that. The thing is, and I'm no major conspiracy theorist. There are some conspiracies that have been proven to be true. And one of them is the fact that we are, no one can afford stuff. Proven fact, because it's getting harder. And I believe that we are in a giant hamster wheel and we're running. And that there's no greater way to look at it than that we are all slaves to a financial industry. So meaning we have to go work all the time, and we don't really see the benefits of it because we want things. So we have a problem. We're slavery to things. I want the brand new iPhone. I go buy it. I finance it, and I finance for that. And then I finance my house, and I finance my car. I finance everything. And because I'm financing all these things, I become a slave to the banks who control the money, and then they can control me. Because if I stop paying on those things, then they take them away, or I lose my house, I lose my car. So yes, to answer your question, you should be preparing for something. What it is, I don't know. You should probably buy an extra can of food every now and then, put it in your house, even if it's for the sake of when things get hard for yourself financially and you can't afford something, you always have something set back to the side. That's what it comes down to. So yes, prepare for the worst, but hope for the best. There's that. Hey, Devin, I've been working on myself mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. But the guy that I'm with seems stuck. He's not interested in therapy, doesn't want to talk about the deeper things, and shrugs it off when I bring anything about growth. I love him, or at least I think I do, but I'm starting to wonder if we're just on different paths now. How do you know when it's time to keep trying or time to walk away? Talia from Fort Collins, Colorado. Talia, Matthew McConaughey said it best. And I've got some words, some other thoughts, but I'm going to give you the quote from Matthew McConaughey. And if I quote it correctly, I hope I do. He said, "Sometimes you're running and the other person's walking, but don't lose sight. Don't be so far ahead that you leave your mate lost back there." You may be in a different place than he is, but you alluded to something in your email here, and you says, "I love him, or at least I think I do." I'm starting to wonder if we're just on two different paths. Here's the thing. When two people start dating, even on the basic first couple of dates, no matter what, you two people are on two different paths. You're two different people with two different personalities. You're two people with different thoughts. You're two people with different political backgrounds to some point, maybe almost identical on some things, but different on others. You were raised by different people, so you have different backgrounds when it comes to how to raise your kids or whatever is to come. Yes, you're two different people on two different paths. The thing is, when you start dating, then that means your paths are crossing. And they come to a head, and then they start going together a little bit, and sometimes they go a little bit different. My wife and I, we don't agree on everything, but we agree on most things. And that's because we're two different people on two different paths going the same direction. Most of the time, that direction is together. Sometimes it deviates out and comes back in, but that's the reality. When you're in a relationship, as Matthew McConaughey says, don't lose sight. That's what you're doing. You're losing sight. You're getting too far ahead, and you're looking back, and your mate's feeling lost. And you said he's not interested in therapy, doesn't want to talk about the deeper things, and shrugs. You may be pressing too hard, or you maybe have judging him too hard, and he feels that he feels stuck. He still likes you because he's still around. So let's do a check mark there. He still likes you, but there's things about you he doesn't like. If you're trying to make that man perfect, you're never going to do it. What you can do and what you should be doing is elevating him. And I know you're going to say, well, that's my whole point. I'm trying to make him change this to elevate him. No, elevate him for what he is. And as he starts to grow, you'll be growing together, and you'll be able to figure out how you can actually create that man to be the king that he is, because he's sticking around for you. And I guarantee he's making you the queen that you should be also. Build each other up, treat each other right, care about each other, and don't lose sight. Don't get so far ahead and you thinking you're not his mom. You're his partner, future wife, is what it sounds like. The fact that he's still around, that's still in his book, in the back of his head. Men think about those things, but they don't talk about them. They talk about them with their buddies, and a lot of times they disagree with their buddies. Even because sometimes their buddy's like, no, she's a wench. Don't go hang out with what they're done. They'll try to push them to move forward, just like your girlfriends. That's why you never talk about your relationship with your girlfriends and your buddies too much, because they will always give an opinion that's wrong. But sometimes they'll give an opinion that gives you an insight, but that's all it is. It's an insight to what could be or something that you should be doing. So don't lose sight. You may be running, they may be walking. You're going to be fine if you're willing to do it. But it sounds like there's an issue that he may have with you, because you're probably pressing a little bit too hard. You probably have done something that has embarrassed him and made him feel down and bad about himself. And the only way that can be done is to fix it. And honestly, the only way to fix it is doing what women expect men to do, and women should do it more. And that's to say, I'm sorry, even if you feel like you've done nothing wrong. Just say, I'm sorry, and give him a hug, and then love him as he is. Hey, Devin, I've been eating clean, working out 5 days a week, cutting back on sugar, drinking all the water, drinking all the water. That's pretty impressive. And the scale still won't move. I feel like I'm doing everything right, but it's like my body doesn't care. It's frustrating. Sometimes I feel like giving up. Do you ever feel like your body's working against you? It's okay to be It's okay to be. Don't know that's a confusing way you worded that sentence. Let's just back up. I'm frustrated. It's frustrating. Sometimes I feel like giving up. Bottom line is this. Janelle in Sacramento, it takes time. If you're eating right and you're putting in the work, as I should be, the results, when it comes to your body, the results don't happen overnight. They never will. They won't even happen in a week. Won't even happen in 2 weeks. It takes time before you start noticing big, major changes in your body. All the time. That is the reality. Go to the gym and ask any of the gym bros. I'm telling you right now, ask any of them there what you should do. And they're going to tell you, keep working. Keep doing it. Keep doing what you know is right. Keep following through. Give yourself a break. If you've cut the meals, you're doing the right things, you're eating the right fats, you're eating a lot of protein, you got the good vegetables in your body, you cut out the sugars, it's going to work. It's just a law of averages. It's a numbers game. That's all it is. It's the idea of thermodynamics. You bring in X, you burn X off. It works. Plain and simple. And you're doing it. So don't give up. You got it. This is going to work out for you, and you're going to be happy. I promise you that. Hey, Devin. I'm not even sure how to explain it. Life just feels heavy lately. I'm not sad exactly. I'm just tired. I wake up tired, go to bed tired, and somewhere in between, I pretend like I have the energy to get through the day. Is this just adulthood, or is something broken, and we're all pretending it's fine? Just needed to say it out loud to someone. Leo, Columbus, Ohio. Leo, you needed some sunlight. Okay. I know, and that may sound like a joke. You need some vitamin D in your body. Yes, we in all our lives, we all feel the same way. We all go through the same motions, we all get the same feeling. And honestly, it's something connected to the genetics and the chemistry in our body. When we're lacking something in our body, unless you're talking metaphorically here, but let's talk about literally here. The reality is vitamin D will make your life better. Get outside, just lay on the ground, take your shoes off, let your feet feel the grass, enjoy the sunlight, let it come in. And I promise you, if you did that every day, that feeling of heaviness will go away. Physically will change. Now, if you're talking metaphorically, because kind of like with the email that I read just a second ago, should you be prepared for a fall? The reality is yes, we're on this giant hamster wheel. When you become an adult, nothing you can do, nothing anyone can tell you can prepare you to be an adult. Nothing. You just have to step out of your comfort zone and just start working. My son just graduated last week or 2 weeks ago or something like that. And he's now entered into the world of life. He talked to me today and he goes, I want to do this because this will help you. Can you help me with this, Dad? I'm like, yes, I can. Specifically his insurance for his car. Because he's like, I told him, I said, you're 18 now, you're graduated, you got to start paying your own bills. I'm not covering everything. I'll help you. I'm not going to cover everything. So the plan, he came to me, which I always ask my kids to come to me with a plan, and we'll talk about it. I'll make a suggestion. Doesn't have to follow the suggestion. It's just a suggestion. They're their own people. They're an adult. They can make their own decisions. And his question was, can the car stay in your name, and then we keep the insurance in yours because it's cheaper for you to be the adult on the insurance versus me have my own insurance on my own. I'm like, yeah, we can do that. Because being 18 and having to pay all those bills, his insurance is going to skyrocket when he's on his own. It's crazy. We rip kids off. It shouldn't be that way. But back to it all, Leo, I'm telling you, get outside. Put the game systems down if that's what you do to de-stress. Find something new. Find something way to just get out, go to the park, put your feet on the ground again, run your toes through the grass, get grounded. It is a thing. Look it up. I promise you it is real and your life will get better. Recharge your body. Soak up the vitamin D. I'm not saying put tanning lotion on. I'm saying protect yourself. Just get under a tree if you want to, but get sunlight into yourself. It is a thing and it will help you. Anyway. That's all I got for today, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for listening. I love it. I appreciate all the emails. Thank you for the video to check out that I needed to check out on here. Bad with names. Go find you. Jermaine. Appreciate the video. I don't know who she is. I'm gonna have to check her out because I love music. I used to be a DJ and back in the day, and I listened to everything. So if you have any more suggestions, please send them my way. I am all ears. I love music. Again, thank you guys for being part of the show. Thank you for being with me and sending me the emails and trusting me to respond. We're growing daily. You guys are doing that for me. It makes my life so much better. I appreciate it because you guys are awesome. Anyway, hope you guys are doing well, and I will talk to you guys later. We'll see ya.
Life's a mess, but side by side we'll